That was pretty profound. All right, so this morning, on Sabbath morning, we had our morning manna.
Hmm.
And
Oh yeah, you have to give us that one.
yeah, I think that there was a couple that came
Hmm.
in, and they've been married and dealing with things, but people come from
How
different
long were they
areas.
married? Did
I
they
can't
say?
remember. I think they've
Okay.
been over 10 years
Okay.
married. Um, but I think what they were trying to get across to us is that sometimes that there are generational curses. And, I
Hmm.
want to do a study on generational curses,
Mm.
but things that have happened in the past seem to come back up. Those sins of the fathers and the fathers' fathers.
Mm.
They,
The third
although
and fourth
although
generation.
we're not under the sin of our fathers. We are not lost because of the sin of our fathers, but the sins of our fathers affect us.
Hmm.
And so he was bringing out that his family was from a dysfunctional family, divorce and things on his side, and even on the wife's side, and they were actually bringing that to the marriage.
Mm.
And so, he began to see the light that he didn't want to continue this generational curse. He didn't want to
Mm.
continue doing the same thing that his parents had done.
Right.
And so he got to the point where they had been married for 5 years,
Hmm.
and they started to let go
Hmm.
of those issues that they were having, and they were giving it to God
Right.
and allowing God to take control. Not that they try to fix it themselves, but
Hmm.
allowing God to take control. And
Hmm.
then that's when they actually began to have their marriage 5 years later,
Mm.
that they really began to have a relationship with each other.
Right. And one of the things that the wife said that I thought, or the husband said that he found his wife in the closet praying out loud, saying, "God,
Yes.
save my marriage."
Right.
Ooh, that was
Yeah.
a tearjerker right
Yeah.
there
And
for me.
he said he didn't want to hear that,
Hmm.
but then that caused him to cry out to God himself
Hmm.
for his own self to have
Hmm.
God change him.
Yeah, and then and the fact that he wanted to be there as
Right.
the husband,
Right.
and as the father for their children,
Right.
because I think they have at least two children or so,
Right.
and sometimes and I think it was sort of profound that he said that he was at the parking lot and he was calling a supporter, someone and said, "Yo, man, I just don't want to go home."
Right.
And the person on the other line said marriage is not an emotional is not emotional,
Right.
right? Is that what he said? Marriage is not emotional. It's a commitment. And
That's right.
so
He said love is not an emotion.
yes,
He
sir.
said love is not an emotion. Emotion. It's a commitment,
Mhm.
and that was absolutely profound. It's a
Right.
commitment to your marriage,
Mhm.
to the other person.
Mhm.
Um,
And then the other thing that he said, the husband said that I think was awesome was the fact that he said that they were doing some counseling with an older couple that had they were both the other couple were both divorced, and this was their second marriage, and they said, if you all are going to get counseling, then you need to know that divorce is not an option.
Divorce is not an option.
And
Yeah.
then because they had actually considered divorce,
Right.
but then they said they started telling them all the pitfalls and downfalls of divorce.
Right.
Of who's going to take care of the
To the
kids.
kids. Right.
What are you going to do with the house? How are you going to pay for your own mortgage and stuff on your own when
Right.
you've been relying on a dual income?
Right.
And all of those feelings of what the wife had gone through as a child,
Right.
with her parents
And to resurface. Yeah.
going through a divorce and stuff. All of those feelings just came back, and she was like, "God, I don't want that for my kids. I want my marriage. I want to stay with my husband." And I think that was very profound that she said that, because
Right.
we don't always. Sometimes you just like, I just want out.
Right.
Other situation, maybe you just needed a night away from your spouse, kids, and
Right.
everything, just to breathe
Right.
and whatnot. But that doesn't mean that the situation or the problems that are going on are still not there. But you could get a possible better perspective of what's going on, so that you would be have more clarity to talk to your spouse
Right.
and to move forward.